Welcome to the 24K Life podcast. I'm your host, Derick Gant. And as you know, 24K is not about being rich. It is about how you become the gold. How do you master yourself so that you get the best out of yourself so that you can then go to the world and you can offer your value, your services, your expertise. And believe me, the world will pay you in gold. So we want to teach you, we want to share with you all the insights, the tips, the tools that we know about on our health, on our wealth, on our mindset, spirituality, relationships, communication. I know that's a lot, but let me tell you something. If you do not figure out how to master yourself, then it's going to be a deficit in your life, all of your life. So today we are blessed and selfishly talking to Dr. Elliot Justin. And I say selfishly on purpose because Dr. Justin has a specialty. He is the CEO and founder of FirmTech. And, you know, when you see the title, I don't know what you think about, but I can tell you, I thought, well, okay, it's about being firm. You know, it's about being healthy and being fit and having your physical life all put together. But let me tell you, he's talking about the firm. I mean, the real firm. Dr. Elliot.
It's great to be here.
How are you? Dr. Justin, but
you can call me Elliot, that's fine.
I call you Elliot. Okay. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Our mission at FirmTech is better sex and better sexual health for everyone so that we can all enjoy the long life of lovemaking that we want confidently.
I love it. There's nothing better to a 58-year-old man's ears. Tell me how to be. You know what? I'm not that selfish to say, tell me how to be 25 again. I mean, I'll probably go for 40. All right, 35. Give me 35, 40 type energy, type vitality. But before we get started into that, tell us about FirmTech. Tell us about your business and how it became your business, because you used to be an ER doctor, right?
That's correct. And I can tell you, as an emergency medicine doctor, there's no emergency, maybe a heart attack or a stroke, but that concerns a man as much as a limp dick. So,
my man, you could take my hair, you could take a pinky, but don't give me a limp dick.
Exactly. Now, by the way, I'm 72 years old.
Okay.
And I know what's going to happen to you.
Hey, man.
So
hopefully a different trajectory than what's happening.
Yeah. Well. Look. We are all men, all women for that matter. We're all on the road from fitness to dysfunction. Mm-hmm. And we all would like to know, where am I in that road? Ideally, we want to make a U-turn. If we've got a problem, we'd like to make a U-turn and reverse course. But if we're heading down that road and we can stop or going down that road or going down the road as fast, we want to do that. And we need data to do that. You can't drive your car without a dashboard. You can't. Right. You know, I live out here in Montana. I don't disappear in the wilderness without GPS. I want to know where I am. And people need data for their sexual health and the health in general, and they get it in other areas of medicine. You know, Paul, we live in this incredible age of healthcare, wearable technology, smartwatches, smart rings, smart bands. You know, but there's this gap. And we feel our goal at FirmTech is to fill that gap and to give people the data that they need in order to enjoy a long life of successful lovemaking. Yeah,
I don't look at sex as competitive, but I am extremely competitive as an ex-athlete. So you're comparing yourself to your vitality. You know, luckily I can still get it up, but man, sometimes it takes a lot of extra work or sensuality or the things that you never needed before, like the wind blows and you can't go answer a question on a chalkboard when you're 15 to get to the point to where you're like, man, you're going to have to touch me and rub me and talk dirty to me. And then I'm ready. And, I want to go back to the days when I thought about it and it was like, whoa, settle down, fella. We're at work.
I can help. So, by the way, I just called you Paul because I spoke to a patient a moment ago. It was Paul.
Dude, you know what? I had already decided. Let me tell you something. This is how cool I am. I had already decided that if you keep calling me Paul, I don't give a rat's ass what you call me. If you help fix, not my problem, but man, because if you take it off your worry list, like, is this still going to keep getting worse? Like, man, I need a lot of stimulation to go. So I had already decided. If you call me Paul, I don't care.
Let me tell you about Paul, because that illustrates.
Are you allowed to tell me about Paul?
I'm not going to tell you his last name.
All right.
Okay. But he's sort of typical, and that could lead. That will lead into basically. I can tell you what we discovered here at FirmTech. So Paul's in his early 60s. He's been married for over 20 years. Paul has spent $16,000 on his dick over the last few months because Paul's complaint was that, gee, I lose my erection. So he spent the money on the conventional side and the unconventional side. He's maxed out on his PD5 medication. He's taken 10-20 of Cialis every day. He's had a Doppler ultrasound of his penis that shows he's got reasonable blood flow. He's tried shockwave therapy. He's tried a P-shot injection, a plasma injection. He's on a decent dose of testosterone, and he's still losing his erection. I encouraged him about 2 months ago to buy our tech ring and find out, is he having 3+ nocturnal erections per night? Because that's what he should be having at his age. He's close to your age than my age. And he's having them. So I asked him the question that doctors should ask and don't ask. And any man who's worried about ED or sexual performance needs to ask himself this question. Is my problem that I can't attain an erection, that I struggle to attain an erection? That's about 10% of men. And those men have a significant medical problem. They are dysfunctional. And by the way, I hate the phrase dysfunctional for most men. They are just dysfunctional. He needs to see a cardiologist, neurologist to get things sorted out. But 85-90% of men, they get an erection and they lose it. Or they lose it faster than they did when they were younger. That applies to me. It applies to you as well, Derick.
Right.
So Paul found out using our technology they had normal nocturnal erections. So he was getting blood into his penis, but he was losing it. And then I said, okay, when do you lose your erections? He said, well, when I try to penetrate my wife. So what happens when you masturbate? Oh, well, masturbate just takes me longer now. I'm older, but I don't have a problem. So I then asked another question, Paul, how many children has your wife have, and what happened to doing before you penetrate her? So a typical story for a guy. Paul gets hard, goes down on his wife, loses erection while he's going down on her. She has an orgasm, and then after she's come, she doesn't want to pay much attention to him because she's in that post-orgasmic stupor. She wants him to penetrate her. Well, it's not really even fully hard yet, but he does it anyway because he's a good chivalrous guy, like most guys are. And then he loses the erection. His wife has had 5 kids. Paul, do you feel what do you feel when you penetrate her? He says, I feel nothing. And why does he feel nothing? Because his wife's had 5 kids and she's in her early 60s. Of course you feel nothing. Also, there's a boredom factor here as well too for Paul and for many men in a long-term relationship. How many times can you have sex in one position and not think, because I'm certain with Paul, as with a lot of guys, if the goddess Aphrodite showed up, they'd have no problem. Paul then bought our Maximum Performance ring, which is like $60. And the ring is designed to keep a man comfortably hard, unlike most cock rings. It's made of elastomer, not silicone. It keeps him comfortably hard so he can rock harder, last longer, get more blood into his dick, and be more sensitive. And now he bought the $60 product, and he already spent $16,000. And he had sex with it since last week. He's had sex with his wife in the boring missionary position 3 times. She's happy, and he's been able to climax. So that's the story of Paul.
Well, that's a pretty telling story. I wrote a book, Dr. Elliot, that the title is 24K Life, the 24K Life Code, the only difference between mediocrity and greatness. And the only reason why I bring this up is because I can't stand being mediocre. But based on your statistics, I am right in the mediocre area of the 80-90% of guys that can get it up. And honestly, sometimes you're scared to switch positions because you're like, man, I might lose it. I might lose it,
Yeah.
And so
what's the answer is actually a simple one, which is a ring.
Okay.
So how did we discover this? So Paul, I'm going to illustrate this with my hands if you don't mind.
No, go for it.
The doctors know the incidence of erectile dysfunction. And by the way, to my mind, women don't get described as being frigid, anorgasmic, or hysteric anymore. Why are we talking about men as dysfunctional? It's a problem. If you can't attain erection, you're dysfunctional. If you can attain an erection and you lose it, then there's an issue here that can be addressed. It's a problem. And men need to push back against this shit. Don't call me independent. Don't call me a limp dick. I'm experiencing what all men experience. Paul, when you were 13 years old, you could hold a girl's hand for an hour and get a hard on for 3 hours and get blue balls. And that doesn't happen anymore. And why does that happen? It doesn't happen because blood is leaving your penis faster as you get older. It happens to all men. It's called venous leak. So here's the data. The incidence of erectile dysfunction goes up 10% per decade after age 45. The thinking of the doctors was, as the incidence of erectile dysfunction goes up, and most of the dysfunction is actually a problem, the number of nocturnal erections that occur while we're sleeping will go down, the firmness of nocturnal erections will go down, and the firmness of sex erections will go down. And that ain't happening. So we've documented 70,000 erections, and the doctors have made a mistake that we've made before, which is we generalize from the sickest people we see in our office to the general population.
Okay.
So so as an ex-emergency medicine doctor, I can tell you, heck, it seems that everyone who uses a skateboard breaks their arm. Everyone uses a trampoline, breaks their wrist. Everyone who shoots a gun must have a gun accident and shoot someone. Everyone has a bow and arrow must, shoot their friend, their buddy during hunting season. And no one should drive cars because everyone I see in the emergency department is driving a car is having an accident. So all these things should be banned. So so what are these academic urologists done with erectile dysfunction? They see the guys in their office who can't attain an erection, and they say, okay, these guys have weak hearts, they have poor arterial circulation. We need to treat the general population as if they have that. But that's not the case because these guys, as they get older, they're actually staying hard until late 60s, early 70s. So why is the incidence of erectile dysfunction going up, but we're not seeing a softening, if you will, of erections? And what's the answer? The answer, the cause for most men is venous leak and the loss of confidence. You just described, if I change positions, I might lose my erection. This is a good position, and she wants me to fuck her in that position, but I don't like that position because it's no good for me. As every erection ends in blood leaving the penis, as we get older, the smooth muscle around our small veins, the venules, gets weaker. The little venules get stiffer as well too. Now, Paul, you're still relatively young in comparison to me, but if I sit in a plane for 5 or 6 hours, my rings get a little tight. My socks might get a little tight because I'm not pumping blood back to my heart the way I did with these smooth muscles, the way I did when I was 25 years old. And I'm in good shape. I'm not going to stand up. I'm in good condition, but this still happens. Okay. There are positions. So if a man puts a ring on it, he's basically preventing the blood from leaving the penis. And he's addressing the loss of confidence associated with the fact that we lose our erections faster, as we get older. This is less likely to happen to women who use vibrators because the vibrators keep sustain the blood flow into the clitoris. Asian women lose the blood from the clitoris as well too. Men vibrators don't do shit for men. So the problem with cock rings. So I got into this business for the data. I wanted to provide men with objective data about their sexual health by measuring the nocturnal erections and measuring their sex erection. How hard you get, how long do you last? And with that data, you can then measure the impact of diabetes, hypertension, atherosclerosis, obesity, smoking, alcohol, recreational drugs, different partners. You measure those things, testosterone therapy, shockwave therapy, all these things can be measured if you have data. But along the way, I had to solve the cock ring problem. What is the cock ring problem? They pinch. They're uncomfortable. They're these hard silicone rings that made the same way for the last 150 years. Okay. And you can only wear them for 20, 30 minutes. They've never caught on among the straight population. Or the gay guys use them all the time. Okay. In order to come up, our rings are not made out of hard silicone. They're made out of soft elastomer. Elastomer allows the blood to go in and only constrains the venous return. So you now have a ring that you can put on when you're flaccid. And you can put it on discreetly, but it will constrain the venous return, which means you'll have a longer lasting erection. Okay. There are 2 studies showing that our ring is as effective as 10 milligrams of Cialis, if not more effective. So Cialis and tadalafil is the most popular PD erection drug. It's surpassed, Viagra in popularity. Those medications put blood into the penis, but they don't keep it there. A ring keeps it there. So if a man wants to, well, here's one of the papers. We studied, no one's ever studied this before. We studied detumescence. Detumescence is the time it takes for erection to go down after an orgasm. Okay. Any guy can test this on himself and see the power of a ring. if with nothing, get rock hard. Eliminate the variables. Go to Pornhub or XNXX or wherever a guy goes to get hard. Get rock hard, and then do nothing. Have an orgasm. We'll do nothing. You see, from rock hard to time it takes to go down is about 25 to 35 seconds.
Okay.
Take 10 tadalafil. It's going to be you get about 2 minutes. Put on our ring. Our ring, of course, is the best one, but put on a ring, and it's going to be that. A ring alone is 2.5 minutes. But the ring plus the tadalafil, it's about 4.5 minutes. So the takeaway message for men is, if you want to be confident, rock hard, last longer, and have your partner be more confident, because it's an issue for your male or female partner as well too, because they're worrying about you. Is he going to lose it again? Put a ring on it. And
put a ring on it. Yeah, I love it. It gives the guys a whole new definition of put a ring on it.
Let her put a ring on it.
Well, yeah, that's even a better marketing tab.
I mean, my wife.
No. Let me ask you some guy questions, because I have, like I said, I get there. I don't have a problem, but I'm more, as you can tell from the title of my book, I'm more of a preventive maintenance type dude. I'm more Western medicine. What do we need to do to make sure we stay ahead of the curve? So I have actually invested in the P shot, which I thought was bullshit.
I do too. I've had any men report success with it. I've not had, but go ahead.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, I've tried that. I've never tried a ring. I tried a pump, because when you do the P shot, they tell you got to pump for something. But I never really tried the pump. And so maybe the P shot didn't work because I didn't really pump like I was supposed to. But I've heard of the pump. I've heard of the P shot. I've heard of the Cialis and the Viagra. Never tried those. I know that the gas stations sell super pills and all those type of things. So I have a couple questions. My first question is, does that stuff work?
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you about all of them, because what our data shows. So the pumps are really interesting. Pumps can make a guy bigger, but do they sustain increased blood flow? No, you can pump yourself up and get rock hard, and really hard, but is that something that is sustained?
Right.
Men report to me, and my personal experience is that, and I have pumped maybe 5 or 6 times because I was curious about it. The pumps come with these hard silicone rings that pinch are uncomfortable. Our rings are designed to be worn for hours. If you pump and put our ring on it, my impression, and it's just an impression, is that you do get a little bit harder. There is a major study going on, and I'm not going to tell the name of the company, but it's one of the biggest penis pump companies in the world. And they have the integrity to using our technology to see whether pumping from the guys who pump for months, whether pumping over a long period of time can produce a harder erection, increased blood flow in men who don't get rock hard, men who maybe get 78% rock hard. And that paper is just getting underway right now, so we'll have the answer to that question soon. The pills.
But wait a second. Time out. What's your projection of what the results are going to be? I know you're a researcher, doctor. You don't like that stuff because you're a scientist. But I'm just asking.
Okay, I don't think it's going to work for men like you and me, Paul. I think if you can, I called you Paul again. I called you Derick. Sorry, got Paul in my mind.
No worries.
I think it's going to work for men who have a more significant problem. The erectile hardness score goes from 0 to 4. 4 is normal. 4 is a man who gets hard, might lose it, but gets hard. Right. 3 is a man who is gets hard enough to maybe penetrate, but it struggles at that point. I think it's going to help those men. I don't think it's going to help the 4s. I think it'll help the 3s.
Okay,
that's my projection. And I'm happy to come back in 6 months, 7 months, and tell you the results. The pills, first the prescribable pills. Cialis and Viagra being the big ones. I don't have any problem with a guy 25 years old who has performance anxiety and is online dating and fails, going online getting pills. But for a man your age or my age to go online, you could be missing a problem. You want to know your data.
Right.
That's where our tech ring is advantageous. We've had 2 men get cardiac catheterizations that we're using the device. We've identified 2 men with significant adrenal gland problems using our device. If you're having 2 or less nocturnal erections per night on average, you need to see a doctor, and you're not going to know that. You might still be able to get it up during sex, but you're not going to know it unless you track your nocturnal erections.
Okay.
So that's the data is really valuable. But as far as the dosing goes with those things, I know for myself from utilizing our technology that I don't get any more benefit from 10 or 20 of tadalafil, Cialis, than I get from 5. So why would I take a larger dose? But, it would make no sense. So again, the data sounds like with blood pressure. With blood pressure, we encourage patients to get multiple readings. We don't just treat one reading,
right,
or self-report. As far as the gas station pills go, and there are lots of them online, Vrili pills, we haven't found anything that works.
Okay.
Not one. Now, there's one small study done utilizing our technology of 3 of those pills in combination: L-arginine, L-citrulline, and I think it was maca root, or it might have been a fungal Nawanda. And those 3 pills in combination increased blood flow and nocturnal erections at night by about 20%. So it could be, but it's a very small study, but it could be, and these pills are harmless. It could be that taking those pills in combination might be beneficial, but I wouldn't go to a gas station to buy them. But you don't know what the fuck you're getting at a gas station.
Yeah,
and then there's testosterone.
Yeah, what about testosterone?
Are you taking testosterone?
I do. Testosterone replacement therapy, but I've been doing that for a really long time. When I say really long, at least 10 years. And I've noticed when I'm taking it like I'm supposed to, I noticed an increase in my energy levels. And I'm not talking about my dick energy. I'm saying in my energy, my overall energy levels are better. My workouts are better, which means my life is better. But I've never noticed anything sexually.
Well, their sexual response is variable. So I've been taking testosterone for 3 years.
Okay.
And you talked about Western medicine before. A good deal of lovemaking is simply subjective. That's just the way it has to do with attraction of unknown things. I mean, if my wife right now came in here and said, "Hey, I want to fuck him from behind," I think, "Hey, I'm doing a podcast right now." If the goddess Aphrodite walked in here, I'd be Derick. I'm signing out.
Yeah, we got it. We need to circle back. I promise you, I got more to share.
But I want to make a point about tea. So when you go to a doctor about saying, "Hey," especially a guy my age, "I'm interested in tea," the doctor will he'll get a blood test. And I'll get that in a moment. 2, the doctor will also ask me subjective questions. How's your energy? How's your libido? How are you sleeping? Well, those things they're subjective. I mean, there's so many things that can impact them. Like I talked about the goddess Aphrodite before. She comes in here, my libido's off the charts. Right. When it comes to energy and sleep, there are lots of things that can impact those things. I'll tell you, Derick, I'm certain that right now, if I told you, I'm wiring you $100,000, I'm certain that your energy, your sleep, and your libido are going to be really good for the next few days. And I'm cheaper than you. Just send me $50,000, and my energy is going to be better.
Right.
But so I want to know it's objective. So my urology advisory board members thought that if I started on tea, I would have my nocturnal erections would increase in firmness and duration. And that didn't happen. What did happen, and why am I still taking it? Probably the same reason you are. I decided to make it objective. It's just instead of energy, I put a tape measure around my bicep, a tape measure around my pecs. And I said, I'm just going to continue with my usual. I go to the gym, I do a CrossFit thing for 45, 50 minutes, 3 times a week with a trainer. Okay. I'm going to do my usual thing, and I'm going to see what happens to my muscles. Now, because I'm a guy, I've got to also do some bicep curls and some bench presses, even though I'm more CrossFit focused.
Right.
Well, my upper body strength increased by 8 to 10% in 3 months, and it's kind of stabilized. It hasn't gone up from there. But I went from I only weigh 155 pounds. I'm not a big guy like you, but I went from doing my curl set ending with 35, 40, 45. Ending at 60, I actually I backed off to 50 now because I started getting elbow pain because I'm old. Right. And I went from bench pressing like 160, 175 to bench pressing 200. Now I backed off to 190 now because again I got joint issues at my age. But I was impressed by the impact of testosterone upon my muscle. Do I have more energy? Hard for me to assess. I'm a high energy guy. It's hard
Right.
for me to have more energy.
Exactly.
So I believe in tea. So men are utilizing our device before they start tea, because they can then make it objective. If they are having sexual problems, and a lot of guys who take tea have sexual issues, they can see, am I having 3+ nocturnals?
Right.
Am I getting 75 minutes nocturnal erections per night? And then they can monitor the tea dose against that. So there's no point, my doctor here in Montana, his goal for me with tea is to keep me my total tea at around 600.
Around 600?
But between you and I, that's kind of dumb. I really want to know what's going on in my muscle, and I want to know what's going on in my dick.
Right.
I don't care whether it might be good. I could be 400. I could be 1,000. I know what the right number is. But instead of chasing a number, I got that number in mind. But I'm looking at things that are objective. So we have men utilizing tea for the same way. Men are taking tea and see, especially if their tea is below 300, 340, 350. Right. They can actually see those guys tend to have less nocturnals, et cetera, et cetera. They can see their improvement and monitor it with our technology.
Excellent. Well, if those of you that aren't watching but listening, go to FirmTech, MyFirmtech.com, and check this out. I mean, if you or your guy needs a little extra help, this is a vital part of every relationship. And if it's not, you should be asking yourself some questions. So go to myfirmtech.com, check it out. And I'm sure on the site, there's a place for you to ask questions if you have some questions. But man, let me tell you something. When you're talking about testosterone replacement, if you or your partner happens to be the one that's investing in pills or pumps or P shots or the numerous other things, I suggest that you take a shot. I mean, good Lord, $60. I mean, I don't know a guy on the planet that wouldn't pay $60 to be able to go an extra 2. He said, I listen very carefully, to go an extra 2.5 minutes, right? So check it out. So Doc, let me ask you this question. I have heard, and that's the thing I love the internet, because you get to learn so much that you had no clue about, but you also get the opposing things. Hey, you should eat the egg yolk. No, you shouldn't eat the yolks. You should only eat the whites. And everybody's got an opposing deal. I just saw a report that said Wim Hof is off of his tree. When you're doing cold plunges every day, you're losing 60% of your muscle mass. And, they've been on a cold plunge thing for the last 4 years. So there's always this give and take with the society. And I think it's because of supply and demand and economics. My question, I heard that taking, and I don't take it, that's why I want to know before I even think about taking it. I heard that taking the pills ultimately makes your situation worse.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, that's why I'm asking you, because I just heard it somewhere.
I've heard that too.
Okay, good.
But I'm going to draw an analogy to testosterone. If you're taking testosterone, you're going to suppress your natural production of testosterone, because and men who take testosterone often have smaller testicles as a consequence, because their testicles no longer need to produce testosterone.
Right.
So the thinking with the pills is, if I'm taking pills, and will I be producing less nitric oxide? Because that's ultimately what the pills do. Nitric oxide is a vasodilator for the arteries that provide blood into the penis. There's no evidence for that whatsoever. And I'll now personalize it. I've had times when I've taken 10 of Cialis every day, and then I've stopped for months, and I've noticed there's no, objectively with my data, there's no difference whatsoever between on my nocturnal erections. I do take 5 of Cialis every day. Why? Well, there's some soft evidence that it long term it can prevent stroke and even heart attacks. It's pretty soft though, but it's also a very benign medication, so there's no harm being done. But as far as taking Cialis or Viagra and suppressing your natural production of nitric oxide, it's extremely doubtful. I don't think there's any reason to believe it. But you mentioned cold plunges or saunas, and yeah. In the biohacker world, they're all about that. Those people are selling tanks and and saunas, and that makes, in terms of, and now as far as the claims about anti-inflammation and shocking your system, I don't know. I'd say I'm skeptical. I mean, Why would a cold plunge be better than someone firing bullets at me?
Right.
We don't recommend that. But I'll focus on testosterone alone. There's a reason why your balls are hanging outside your body. To optimize production of testosterone, the balls are outside of your body, and they need to be outside of your body. I think I off the top of my head, it's like 1.5 degrees centigrade cooler than your core temperature. So if you're taking a cold plunge, how can that possibly be good for your testosterone? I mean, that claim by Biohacks makes no sense. Similarly, if you're gonna two other things, if you're gonna hang your balls out in a hot fucking sauna, how can that be good?
Yeah.
And then there's red light therapy.
That's the one I've been reading about lately.
Yeah. So the red light therapy seems to be recommended for everything from headaches to hemorrhoids. I'm from what I've read, I'm confident that red light therapy is beneficial for people with skin conditions like psoriasis, bad eczema, things of that nature. Can red light therapy improve receding hairlines? Maybe. I don't know. I'm skeptical. Can red light therapy help people with sleep? Wow, that sleep is just so complicated that I suspect that most of the benefit is probably placebo. I could be wrong though, and I'm open-minded about that. But as far as red light therapy being good for your dick, again, your nature has designed your testicles to optimally reduce testosterone at a certain degree of temperature and without intense exposure to infrared light. I find it just hard to believe that. So we actually, a couple of years ago, when we first came out with our product, there's a company in Los Angeles that sells red light therapy devices for all different parts of the body. And they gave us 6 devices to test because their contention was that it would increase testosterone levels and improve nocturnal erections. And we saw no benefit whatsoever.
There's Paul calling.
That's Dr. Spam calling.
So I got just two more questions for you.
Sure.
I told you about my Eastern medicine philosophy, try to do preventive stuff. So I take blood thinners for I clot, and there's no reason why I clot. I mean, they've done all the tests, tested my parents. Yes, genetic. Tested my parents, but they just can't figure it out. So I take blood thinners, and I'm just giving you the scoop so you can get the full picture of my thought process, not to give me any advice per se. But I know that because I clot and because I get some tingling every once in a while and some numbness, that I'm like, okay, my circulation needs some help. And I actually even went on one of those machines where the computer scans your entire body and it tells you your oxygen levels and your muscle mass and bone density and water. And it also tells me about my circulation. And I can see from the screen, oh yeah, that color means those colors are your circulation. So you need, you're struggling in your legs, blah, 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 blah. So I know this is a long question, but I want you to understand that I'm giving you the premise. So my question is that I went out to the health food store and I bought like some crushed dried beets, trying to produce nitric oxide. I've taken the gel, the gummy version of beets. I have done some nitric oxide pills, but I've pulled the things in. I think I don't know if it's the L-carnitine or L-arginine. I'm not sure which one, but I actually have both. But I've done those things all to focus on my blood circulation, understanding that I was told, you've obviously confirmed it already, that there's a lot of circulation, small veins in the penis. And so if your circulation is not good, they're going to get affected too. So I'm doing all this obviously for my overall health, but I'm also doing it because I still want our eyes to pop open extra wide upon entry. That whole "are you in yet" thing doesn't suit me real well when I'm used to going, oh, whoa, wait, slow down, monster. So the question is, you've answered my question on the pills. My other question, my true question is, how do I clean out my blood vessels? I mean, in all sincerity, for just health, period. How do I clean my system out from plaque and anything else that's clogging me up? And in addition to that, how can I make sure that, or can do these supplements help you clean your system out? And you see these little Instagram commercials. Hey, I got the secret, and they're showing you a bottle of Bragg's. Yeah, they're showing you a bottle of Bragg's apple cider vinegar with this secret recipe. I can clean you out by tonight. And you're just like, dude, if it was that simple, I could go to the internet and they would tell me, but I'm not clicking on your shit because I know it's a scam. But now that I have the scam buster on my show, does any of those things work in general and specifically for erectile?
We haven't found beets to work. I have a good friend, really smart guy, PhD, engineer in town here, who swears by beets. Of course, it's got to be some sort of special beet thing he gets online. It can't be ordinary beets you get from, the grocery store. And we tested him with the beets and without the beets, and there was no difference. But he still takes it because the benefit is here. It's a placebo benefit. The placebo effect is powerful. I think in terms of prevention, the things that are obvious. You probably don't do any of them. You probably don't smoke. Nope. You don't drink alcohol to excess.
Nope, I don't.
You're probably relatively good cardiovascular health. And so you're probably, if you eat a normal diet and you avoid processed foods, you're probably doing all you can do preventively. I wish I could say that having, 4 ounces of apple cider vinegar, I don't know why it's any better than any kind of vinegar too, but I want to make things objective. So there are things that should work hypothetically, like beets, but they don't. They just don't work in reality. So if you're going to track your nocturnal erections, you could actually say, "Hey, am I going to get harder with vinegar?"
Right.
I think
what about just cleaning your system out, your vascular system out, or does it just get fried and you're fried?
It's early on in my medical career, years and decades ago, I was involved with a doctor who believed in chelation, which is giving something intravenously that supposedly will clear out your heavy metals and other toxins. And his research was actually stopped because some people were experiencing harm. Some people actually getting scarring of their vessels, the consequence of the chelating agents that he was using. But maybe he's using the wrong dose. I don't know. So I can't answer your question well, Derick. I'm skeptical. I have to say I'm skeptical.
Okay, that's the fact that you're skeptical, that you've been in the game for what, 40 years or so.
I started practicing medicine in 1979. I've been at this.
I was trying to be gracious, Doc. So you've been in the game long enough. So you saying you're skeptical is a pretty good indication.
Here's what I think works, though. Here's something that people are not doing.
All right, tell me.
They don't plan for pleasure.
Okay.
So we know that people who have an orgasm a day can cut their cortisol levels by 25 to 50%. That's a stress hormone. We know that it's a big study out of the United Kingdom that men over age 70 who have sex twice a week can cut their risk of sudden cardiac death over the next decade by almost 50%. We doctors should be recommending sex to people, and we don't. I go to the gym here in Bozeman. People know what I do, and they talk about their sex lives, and the stress, and they don't have time to have sex, and they have kids, and they've got work, and they just put it off, and then it gets awkward, and they lose their confidence, blah, blah. It's like, and these are people who are in the gym like 10, 14 hours a week. They go in, you don't improve your sex life.
He's like, cut your gym time home and go home and take care of your mama. Come on, what are you talking about?
Yeah, like if you're in the gym 12 hours a week, you can't dedicate 2 hours time to having sex, and your wife too, because these are women. Often the women as well too.
Okay.
You go to the gym. These people, they're not. I don't go to the gym and exercise spontaneously. I don't know what I'm gonna do today. No, I go to the gym with a plan. I have a trainer. Right. These people in the gym with, they on their cell phones, they got 2 hours of plan in there and targets. They should approach their sex life the same way.
All right. So my question is, when I promote this ring, do I get a cut? Because I'm gonna tell everybody about this thing.
Yeah, I'm happy to give you a promo code, man.
All right, send me a promo code, Doc, and I'm gonna post it.
You tell me what you want.
All right, send me. You mean what the promo code should be?
Yeah.
Oh, good. What do you think, dude? 24K, whatever you want. 24K life.
24K harder. 24K firmer. Yep. 24K.
24K harder.
Okay, 24K harder. I'm gonna after this call, I'm gonna have a guy from my organization, Riley, contact you.
We'll put it on the promo code. So for those of you that are actually listening, use the promo code, because by the time this airs, I'll have the promo code situated. But 24K harder. And if you have questions, you should ask them. You know, I don't know if you noticed, but you know, Dr. Justin has told you just can't read the label. You just can't take things for granted. You can't just go with what is being sold out here. You have to do the work, and the work, he said it like from the first second he jumped on, is you got to go and figure out how many nocturnal erections you're having. You got to figure that out. He said, if he said it once, he said it like 10 times. So obviously it's the cornerstone or the tell that you need to know about where you're at. He also gave us a range of 1 to 4 on stiffness and hardness, and what you should do if you're at 3 and what you should do if you're not at 3. So I hope you're paying attention. I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. I know I have. I am not scared of the big boy conversations, you know, which is why I'm glad, you know, Dr. Elliot Justin came on to the 24K Life. Now, most of our audiences are women. And when I say most, about 65% are women listeners. And let me tell you something. This is for you. I did this for you, and you're welcome. Okay? I did this for you. You're welcome. So go take care of your man. And as he said, you know what? Cut that gym time up. Cut his gym time up. Send him that message that on his phone while he's at the gym to finish. I swear to God, I saw this yesterday. Guy was on the treadmill, super incline, and he's doing his thing, and his phone does what it does. He looks at it, and they of course, they show you what it says. And then he stops walking and just slides off the treadmill and leaves. And then they show the phone. It says, honey, come finish your cardio at home. Perfect.
Yeah, I like that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, ladies, send your guy a message to finish his cardio at home.
Well,
Yes,
let me make 2 points, if I could, about women.
Absolutely.
So about 30% of our customers are women. Women care more about their men's health than men often care about their own health. Women are often more proactive about health than men do. So if your guy's having a problem, you need to, and he doesn't want to find out his data. That's like a guy having chest pain, not wanting to go to the ER. A guy having chest pain, or a man having a regular pulse and he doesn't want to see a doctor, to find out what's causing his irregular pulse. Women need to be more proactive about this. If your guy is diabetic, hypertensive, overweight, he needs to know his dick data, and his dick data might motivate him to lose fucking weight or take his meds more than you're just, and more than anything else. Also, if women want to feel more confident in bed. If a guy's wearing a ring like our maximum performance ring, and the woman knows he's going to rock hard. I'll go back to Paul. I don't have Paul's problem. I go down to my wife with a ring on, and when I'm done and she's done, I'm still rock hard. And that's a whole different, for me and for her, that's a whole different mindset.
Yeah. I love it.
Paul, Derick, we need to put a ring on you, man. We'll talk after this.
Hey, I'm all about high performance, right? So let's do it. You know, I will get the promo code. I'll be the first participant of the promo code, and then we will kick this out to as many.
I got to mention this. So we came up with a vibrator called the Ring Mate.
What is it?
It's a vibrator. It's to make penetrative sex, hands-free penetrative sex easily. My wife designed it.
Okay.
It sits here, so it's right against the clitoris. It's the right size. It's not like one of these big things in the fucking way. And it's, my wife's complaining about it. She comes too quickly now. And, I just had a professional, like as in professional meaning dominatrix courtesan in Seattle, contact me.
You're my kind of doctor, boy. I ain't gonna lie. Go ahead. Finish. Anyway,
this woman, her name is Lady Petra. She says that for her it was like a religious experience. But what I like about it is that it's like I can control it with his fingers. So for a guy, and what do a lot of women like? They like to have sex from behind, right?
Right.
Well, if I'm reaching around for the clitoris, it's awkward for me. I'm old.
Right.
I get wrist fatigue there. And I also, can I move my fingers as fast as a vibrator?
No.
Maybe you can. I can't.
I haven't tried in a long time. So,
so this, as my wife says, hey, you're like Superman with this.
So that goes on your hand or on your ring?
It goes on the rings.
Okay, it goes on the rings.
It goes on the rings. It fits because our rings all open up.
Okay.
And then you can slide it on.
Okay. But you can also hold it, is what you're saying.
You can hold it. And I start to say, for my wife and I, we both end up holding it more. Although, because frankly, she doesn't want to come that fast when she's on top.
Gotcha.
Who wants to have an orgasm in 2 minutes or 3 minutes?
Right. Well, my philosophy is you can have another one. Let's go.
Yeah, well, that's an advantage that women have over men.
Yeah, exactly.
The biggest male problem that gets no attention is the male refractory period. So women like to bitch about how, no attention is paid to us. We go through menopause. And by the way, anyone who's going through menopause should seriously consider testosterone replacement therapy, because that can take in.
Yeah, I as part of 24K Life, we have a in-house specialist. Which when I say in-house specialist, somebody like yourself that's an expert that I invited to be part of our community, because most of our community is women, that talks and teaches all about. She's a functional medicine practitioner, and she teaches all about the hormone replacement therapy as well as the testosterone replacement therapy.
Yeah, but I think it should become the standard of care for women. But men have shit. When you're 14 years old, you can jerk off 8 times a day. When you're 25, you can have sex 4 or 5 times a day. And at my age, sex twice a day is a struggle. And that's all.
Hey, I'm looking for one amazing show, boy. There's no repeat performances today. This is one amazing show. This is just one show. This is a one day. I mean, you could do 2 a day, but don't make them back to back. But we can do one in the morning and one before we go to bed. I need to hydrate. But wow. I mean, so I enjoyed our conversation. It's kind of, I guess the proper word would be soothe some of my questions, about like the beets and the supplements. And, I'm taking 8 different pills a day and I'm not talking about Viagra pills. I'm just talking about between my normal supplements, my D3, my omega-3s. And then I'm trying to figure out, is it L-arginine? Is it L-carotene? Is it maca, as you said? Is it ashwagandha? I mean, you're trying to, and everybody's got the magical root, right? So you're trying to figure out which one is yours.
Let's not forget horny goatweed.
I never tried that. Is that any good?
That's out there too. I take about 10, 12 supplements a day. Only 2 of them work in my mind. D3 is important. The omegas are important. I think CoQ10, it probably can decrease the length of colds maybe. The rest of stuff I take, it's not doing any harm. It probably has some placebo benefit. But I can't prove. I'm not going to, I don't know.
All right, Doc. Well, you're going to have to send me your list. I need to see the list. I need to compare it to mine.
Have you tried Catawaba?
I have not.
Catauaba.
Yeah, I've seen the name, but so try that. That's on your list. The horny goatweed's on your list. All right, we'll talk about the list offline because people don't have to. I tell you what, everyone. You watch the show and you get the promo code and you're ready to order. We'll give you the list as an added bonus freebie. We're going to send you Dr. J's list so that you can be a Sixers all-star once again. How about that, Doc?
That sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Hold on one quick sec, back in the green room. I'll be right back with you.
Sure.
All right. You heard it. Listen, I told you over and over, episode after episode, if you're not interested in how to elevate your health, you are not going to be able to have the vitality, the energy, and the mentality that you need to get to the wealth. And I understand it because I live, and when I was pushing for money first and my health failed and I couldn't push for the money, I realized that health is wealth. Health is first, and then the money comes, and then the mentality comes. So let's get our mindsets right. Let's not be stuck and feeling guilty or some kind of way about asking for help, because us men don't want to help, which is why he said 30% of his clients are women, because they're not scared to ask, what can help my partner do better in life? So she asked. Listen, we're here to help. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I love talking to people that I've never talked on that subject before, that know what the heck they're talking about. My man is the one. So we're going to invite him again into some of our community conversations. So keep your eye out, keep your ear out to hear more from Dr. Elliot Justin on the 24K Life Code podcast. I'm Derick Gant. Be your best, bring your best, leave nothing to chance.